team. Ready.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Pet Talk. And of course, always with me, I have Tom. Tom, how's it going?
Doing all right. How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing pretty good. I know we got ourselves a little fun one today. We're going to be talking about pet food, the packaging aspect. I'm going to be reading a little bit of an article for you, referencing some stuff where we're getting it from, and then Tom is also going to elaborate on a lot of other extra stuff that the market is kind of leaning towards and going into, which is kind of exciting. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it.
Sounds fun.
So we were doing a little bit of research on the pet food aspect. I'm going to read a little article here. It is an old study, I would say, or the percentages, so a lot of it has probably changed, but we're just going to use it to reference. So here we go. In terms of packaging for wet pet food, canned accounts for almost 2/3, 63% of wet dog food purchasing as of 2021-2022. As I was saying, this was an old one, but this is just our reference. Compared with plastic cups, tubs at 21% and pouches at 16%. Canned accounts for a higher share of wet cat food purchasing at 3/4, which is 75%. But plastic and pouches are making incremental gains in share in the feline part of the aisle. Pretty interesting. And I know Tom has something to elaborate off of this. So let's go ahead and get into that section.
Yeah. So I think one thing that's interesting about this study from like 21 or 22 is that I think that was really, maybe it was just starting up. I'm not sure of the time frame, but what about fresh food, fresh pet food? That was like a whole new thing that started up, like Farm Fresh, or I forget the one that I get, but there's a bunch of them, and those are all in pouches. And then you just see that pouches when you go to like a bespoke pet food place, right? I'm not talking like, hey, I'm going to Costco and buying like a 60-pound bag of kibble. But when you go to a bespoke pet food place that does grooming or all that stuff, they really like the pouches because they merchandise really well. You can put the hang hook into the pouch and you can hang them onto that, or they stand up really nice and shelves. So it seems like they really like the way that the pouch merchandises. So I bet that those numbers have skewed more away from the aluminum can to the pouches, especially with the inception, like I said, of the fresh food, where we're getting that big stand-up pouch for our dog and just putting it in the fridge. So that's pretty interesting. But when you look at pet food or pet food flex pack, it's very similar to the way that all flexible packaging is kind of moving to sustainable. There's a couple different ways you can use PCR, which is post-consumer resin. That's typically milk jugs that are chopped up and then they're turned into milk jugs are high density polyethylene, and then you chop them up and you make medium or low density polyethylene and you blend them into your sealant layer. Or PIR, which is post industrial resin. Like when we're blowing films, there's stuff that we trim off after lamination, hasn't really left the plant, so it's not contaminated, but we can blend that in as well. So that's one way. And you can go up to like 50% PCR or PIR, so you're not using virgin resin, you know what I mean? You're using resin that's already been out there and extruded. So that's one way to go sustainable. But ultimately, if you're still laminating that to polyester, it's probably not going to be recyclable because now you have mixed plastics. How do you recycle it? So the biggest way is to probably go with a recyclable bag, which is when you're swapping out polyester with a high density, machine direction oriented or biaxially oriented polyethylene. Man, that sounds nerdy. And, but by using polyethylene for both layers, then that would be something that you could put into store drop off, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing that's super cool is that obviously I'm not a boomer. I'm way too young to be a boomer, but I am Gen X. But the millennial generation is really, like, every new generation, I think, becomes more conscious about sustainably sourced product. And somewhere in the same article, they said that like 40% of millennials have sustainability as part of their decision-making process of what pet food supplier they're buying, which is pretty cool. So there's a big movement in pet food to go with sustainability. But what I really see out there, and if, like I talked about this in the most recent pep talk, is the box bottom bag merchandises really well, because if you stand it up, it looks great. If it's on its side and you're looking at the bottom, that's a nice angle. If it's on its side, it's a nice angle. Box bottom pouch, just basically every single side is an advertisement. So no matter how you stack it up in your store to sell it, it looks good, and you've got a nice little bag there. So that's pretty cool about pet food. And then, of course, they're doing stuff about sustainably sourced food, right? Where are they getting the ingredients on the inside of the bag? So all these pet companies are really riding on the sustainability. I don't think that there's any type of regulation government-wise in the United States about sustainability of packaging for pet food. But we certainly want to help those pet food companies
absolutely
create sustainable packaging, right?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's all about sustainability.
It is, and we love it. Again, just keep plastic out of the ocean. I did see, I think one pep talk topic, say that 3 times fast, that we should do coming up is TerraCycle. So apparently TerraCycle has partnered with a bunch of different brands, and they allow you to recycle very specific things. Like they have a free recycling program for Taco Bell hot sauces, right? Hot.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Mild, hot, and fire, I think. And I don't know. I haven't been to Taco Bell in a minute, but that's what it used to be. Or like there's a pet food company called I and Love and You, and they have their own specific recycling program with TerraCycle. And it seems like TerraCycle, like this is something that we're going to get for our office, and I'm probably going to get for my home, but it doesn't have to be a certified recyclable bag. And 100% of what they get in, they recycle one way or another. They're either building playgrounds out of it or doing something really cool. Even if it's not certified recyclable for store drop off, they're finding ways to use it. They said it's actually 91% that they get in, they recycle. The other 9% that they don't recycle is because somebody didn't follow the rules and put something in there that's not supposed to be in there. So that 9% ends up being waste, but that's not their fault. It's just the consumer is not following the rules. But still, like if you're sending them thousands of pounds of material that was considered unrecyclable, and they're recycling it and keeping it out of the landfill or out of the ocean, that is super cool stuff. So TerraCycle, we're going to dig. I need to do some research. I just came across it. That's all based off of my last 5 minutes of the Google box and checking stuff out. So I don't have the full story there. I want to dig into it, but if we can get a container that you can put any type of rigid plastic packaging or any type of flexible packaging in it, regardless of if it's recyclable or not, and they find a good destination for it, that's cool. And then there's a link on there for a company called Loop, or some entity called Loop, that was all about how to create a circular economy with reusable packaging as well. So those are 2 things, Jeff, that I'd like to dig into. I know I'm kind of going on a segue. Today is supposed to be about sustainable pet food packaging, and here I am talking about TerraCycle and Loop, but it was super interesting.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's all coming together. Keep the sustainable goal in mind. That's the biggest one. So
yeah, I don't know. I think that's all I have to say about that, Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to go over?
Nope. Yep. I think that things that we're going to be diving into. Another one to look into is the Mars Pet Care, of course, just because of again, their sustainable goals are the same things that are in line with us and others, and just, huge shout out and huge things to talk about. And I think that's kind of how we'll wrap it up today. Like Tom was saying, it's just a quick one, little short 2-step, and looking forward to diving into the next one with you guys. Thank you again for joining, and we love talking to ourselves like always, but here we are, Tom and I, giving some beautiful information to you guys, and we hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Like and subscribe, and we'll see you at the next Pep Talk. Peace. Thank you.
Yep. See you later.